The internal responsibility system is an approach to health and safety where worker and employee reps work together to make the workplace safer. It is based on the idea that those in the workplace, workers and supervisors, are the first to recognize unsafe conditions that could lead to injuries. Now, how does this system actually work? First, employer and worker reps must work together on the Joint Health and Safety Committee. This committee has a legal mandate to identify hazards and to make recommendations to the employer. The employer must consider these recommendations and take every reasonable precaution to protect workers. It is important that the committee review workplace safety incidents, especially those that result in injury to a worker. This will also help the committee identify hazards that require additional measures to protect workers. The independence of worker committee members is protected by law, and these worker committee members cannot be selected by the employer. The second component is a series of legal responsibilities for employers, workers, and supervisors. For example, the employer must keep equipment and protective devices in good condition, acquaint workers with hazards, and provide workers with necessary information so they can protect themselves. The employer must also appoint competent supervisors and provide assistance to the Joint Committee. Supervisors must advise workers of hazards and ensure safe work procedures are followed. Workers must take part in training and report unsafe conditions to the employer. Now for the third component, enforcement. Government safety officers have extensive enforcement powers. Government officials are responsible for visiting the worksite if a concern raised by a worker has gone unaddressed, or if there is a serious workplace injury or fatality. Officers often seek feedback from frontline workers or health and safety committee members when they visit a work site. Employers must not punish workers for being honest with these officials, and a worker or safety committee member can use these officials as a resource for information or to resolve disputes. The employer may face fines or other enforcement action if they are not keeping workers safe. Their involvement makes the internal responsibility system complete. The history of the internal responsibility system is rooted in workers' experience. In the 1960s and 70s, uranium miners in Elliott Lake, members of the United Steelworkers, became aware that an unusual number of workers were dying of cancer and other diseases. They knew the problem was in the workplace, but couldn't get any answers from their employer or the government. On April 18, 1974, the workers had enough. They staged a wildcat strike, which led directly to the formation of a royal commission. Dr. James Ham led this commission. Ham's conclusion? Workers needed a say in matters affecting their health and safety. Ham recommended a system where well-trained workers, or auditors as he called them, would advise management of unsafe conditions, and workers and management reps would work together on joint health and safety committees. Management would be responsible for making sure the system worked. The internal system would be backed up by government enforcement. Ham's recommendations led to the Occupational Health and Safety Act that we have today. 50 years later, the requirements of an effective internal responsibility system remain unchanged. A strong commitment from employers, the active involvement of workers, and government enforcement. When these are in place, the internal responsibility system can be effective in protecting the health and safety of workers.